Hello everyone, it's not a tutorial, it's not a painting tutorial. I just wanted to have a quick chat about you regarding my Patreon page and just to answer some questions, okay? I've been getting a lot of questions with my um, Patreon page concerning my Patreon page. A lot of people just asking how it all works, how it all kind of moves along and what's involved. So basically, my Patreon page is there just for you to support me, okay? Um, it really helps. It really, really does. And it allows me to get all my materials for tutorials. That's really all it's for, okay? Um, the thing about Patreon is I get a lot of questions asking me about different levels and different tiers and what do I get for this, what do I get for that. What I would say to you is um, I like to be fair with everyone because I know every beginner and every amateur and everyone who's trying to learn how to paint, they benefit so much from as much information as they can get. I find with a lot of Patreon pages, and I kind of did a little bit of research into this, and I checked some other artists' pages on YouTube. What I noticed is lots of different tiers and lots of different levels will give you only certain tutorials. For example, if you would like to see this tutorial, you can unlock this tutorial for $10, we'll say, something like that, just for the one tutorial. And I think that's now it's just my opinion, I think that's very disingenuous. I don't think that's very helpful to artists and beginners. I find this really is just a lot to do with making money, making a quick buck. Now, it's just my opinion, I could be completely wrong. I know a lot of people do it differently. My take on the whole situation is I want to try and help as many people as I can, okay? Because I was a beginner just like you. I started out completely blind, not knowing where to go, what to do, what to buy even. So um, my Patreon page is all just about giving my patrons as much as I can. So my different levels on my page is everyone sees every tutorial, okay? All the tutorials are available to everyone, regardless of what tier you're on or what level you choose, okay? I think it's a fairer way. Some may disagree. I just think it's nicer to give everyone as much information as they can. Do you know what I mean? Without sort of penalising someone just because they can only afford $3 a month or €3 or €5 or $10 or something like that. I think it's very unfair to penalise someone because they may be in a situation where they can't afford much. Do you understand what I mean? Some people might have very good jobs and they might say to themselves, Stephen is really helping me out. I'm going to give him $10 a month or $20 a month. And that's great. I really appreciate that. But I also understand that there are a lot of people out there who may not have very well paying jobs and they can only afford maybe $3 a month. So I find if I start separating those people into different levels on Patreon, I think it becomes very, very unfair and very disingenuous. So I I like to keep it all open. So all my tutorials are available to everyone, regardless of what you're pledging. Do you understand what I mean? Um, I just find there's a lot of pages out there, a lot of Patreon pages, um, which are very kind of restrictive. So they'll only give you a certain tutorial for a certain amount of money. And I don't like that. I just don't like it. I prefer to be open and honest with everyone. Um, the different levels that I have, they're really only there to give you the option and to give you the choice of what you would like to pledge. Okay, just depending on your circumstances and depending on what you can afford. Um, it's only there to give you that choice. Some people may like to pledge $3 a month. Other people might like to pledge $10 a month. Okay, and those tiers, if you read through those tiers, um, there's no difference between them. Okay, It's just giving me support. That's all it is, and what you can afford to give. All right. Some of the higher ones will give you the extra. For example, you know, a Zoom lesson, for instance. You know what I mean? Um, I that's very seldom I would get someone looking for a Zoom lesson one-to-one. So I think the lower ones for me, I think it's $3, $5, and $10. I think there's a $20 one there as well for a special request. But in general, I like to help everyone. I like to try and get through anyone's request, regardless of what tier you're supporting me on. Okay, I just like to be open and honest about all of that because I just don't like the feeling of being, it makes me feel almost being greedy. If I say to you, you can only see this tutorial if you pledge $20 a month, I think that's very, to a certain degree, very greedy and very mean. So I'm not like that. I like to give everyone a chance to see every tutorial on Patreon, regardless of what tier you are on. All right. I just wanted to tell you that and clear that up because a lot of people are saying to me, if I pledge the €20 one, what extras do I get? Or if I pledge the €10 one, what extras do I get on top of everything else? And I'm not about that, giving different people extra in return. I just think, it's your choice, what you can afford and what you would like to pledge. That's just my take on it. That's just the way I am. To be honest, I never even heard about Patreon up until a few years ago. I never had any intentions of using Patreon. I was just on YouTube. I was doing my tutorials every week, not charging anyone anything. I was happy to do it. I was enjoying it. And it was only about 2 or 3 years back, a viewer said to me, Stephen, I'd like to support you for what you're doing. And I didn't know what to say. I really didn't. I was in the dark about Patreon. And he mentioned to me, did you ever think about setting up a Patreon page? So I kind of did a bit of research. I looked into it and I said, look, yeah, why not? Look, if you want to support me and you want to give me something in return to help me along, that's brilliant. So I was delighted. So I set up my page and I like the idea of giving everyone equal. All right, that's just what I'm about. I'm not a selfish person like that. I don't like to say, if you give, you can only get this tutorial if you pay me $20 a month or $50 a month or so on. I just upload my tutorials to Patreon. All my patrons can see it, regardless of what you're supporting me with, what you're pledging. That's just the way I am. And I like it that way. And I think it's nicer that way, to be fair to everyone, because beginning with oils and starting even with painting, acrylics, watercolors, anything, it's a daunting process. It's very confusing. It's very difficult to find someone out there on YouTube, I think, who will walk you through the steps as you're going along, each and every step, and talk properly and, tell you what they're doing and how to do it. It's very, very difficult to find YouTube artists doing that at the moment. Everything on YouTube is sort of time lapse and music going on in the background and, very, very quick painting, no speaking, no talking. It's very, very annoying and it's very confusing, I think. It's very confusing for people trying to paint. And I think what happens as well on YouTube is a lot of beginners and amateurs will aspire to be like an artist on YouTube. A lot of these bigger artists, you probably know who I mean, who are producing photographic paintings almost. A lot of beginners really aspire to be like these artists, and they're not really shown how to do it. They're not shown the techniques by the artist. Nothing is being explained properly, bar a couple, but for the most part, they don't really explain in layman's terms what they're doing and how to do it. Do you understand? So a lot of beginners are aspiring to be like these artists, and they're just almost jumping ahead, and they want to see results immediately. And they think to themselves, I was the same. I thought to myself, if I just follow this guy along on YouTube, I can be like him and I can do a painting just like that. But it doesn't work like that. It takes years and years of practice and practice and practice to get to that level. Okay? And even at that, you may not even get to that level. So it's about being happy with what you want to achieve and what kind of results you want, and accepting that, you know, you may not be able to create a painting like a photograph. Okay? I know if I tried hard enough, I probably could make a painting like a photograph, but to be honest, I don't really want to. For me, I think it's too much intense work on a painting to try and make it look like a photograph. Okay? It's too much, and I'll find myself losing interest in the process of painting if I'm trying to reach that goal, that ultimate goal of making a painting look like a picture, like a photograph. I find I lose interest in my hobby, and it's a hobby for me. It's not a living, it's not a, it's just a hobby. It's something I love to do, and I like to keep my paintings like that, like an oil painting. And that's what I want. That's what I want to do. And that's what I want to show people how to do. So that's a general kind of, about me, about what I'm trying to achieve with my painting. I know I'll never be brilliant at painting. There are a lot of things in painting that I don't know how to do and that I'm not very good at doing, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But I'm confident. I'm confident with the painting that I create, that I've enjoyed it, the process, and I've given it all my attention to create this painting which I love. And that's all that should matter to you. Okay, you should not push yourself and push yourself to do better and better and better with every single painting. That's the wrong way to think about it. I would just try to be happy with what you have achieved up to now. If you think back 2 years ago and compare your paintings, I bet you've come an awful long way, a very long way. So just imagine what you're going to achieve in 2 or 3 or 4 years' time. What will your paintings look like then? So try to think about that. Do not push yourself too much to get better and better, because you will get frustrated, very annoyed with yourself because you feel, I can't do it, I just can't get it right. That's not what painting is supposed to be about. Okay? I know you would like to get better, and you do get better. With every single painting you create, you will always learn something new. Okay? It might be just something small, but you will learn something new. And the next time you paint, you'll use that. So that's what I find painting is about. And just try to enjoy it. Try not to take painting too seriously, because if you take it too seriously, it means you're not enjoying it. And if you're not enjoying it, it will show. When you're finished the painting, you will see it. And if you're just not feeling it inside, that you're happy with your painting, then you're almost, you have to try to be happy with what you've painted. Because even if it's not what you want and you don't like it, you still have painted something, and you have tried painting something, and you have learned something. That's what it's all about. Okay? So I won't go on too much more. I just wanted to clear that up with my Patreon page, because there was a lot of confusion around it, about different tiers. So just remember that if you're looking at Patreon, there's no restrictions for anyone on my page on Patreon. You'll see every tutorial just like everybody else. And I think that's the fairest way to be with everyone. Okay? Now, I must get ready for tutorial. And I don't know what I'm going to paint, but I have a couple of suggestions in my gallery from viewers, a couple of really nice ones. I might take a look and see what I'll decide to paint. So happy painting and enjoy your painting, okay? God bless, and I'll see you very soon.